Hello, hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV screen to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well, let's learn English together. And welcome once more, my chickens of the forest. Come down from your tree houses and let's get stuck in to today's English lesson. Are you all ready? Yes? Well then, here we go. Now, all this week we've been studying one thing, haven't we? That's right. And what is this one wonderful thing? That's right again. Going to. Correct-a-doodle-doo. All this week we've learned about the form of going to. We learned that we use the auxiliary verb to be in the correct form to help us make sentences with going to. It doesn't matter if we want to make a positive sentence or a negative sentence or a question. If we want to use going to, we have to use the auxiliary verb to be. Okay. That's not a problem, is it? No. The only thing we have to be careful with is the fact that when we use the verb to be as an auxiliary verb, we have to remember to conjugate the verb correctly. Do you remember what conjugate means? When we conjugate a verb, we give the different forms of a verb. So, if I want to conjugate the verb to be in the present simple, I know that it's like this. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, you are, and they are. There, I just conjugated the verb to be. Essentially, the important thing to remember is that when we use going to, we have to remember that we change the auxiliary verb depending on the subject or the personal pronoun. We don't say I is going to, we say I am going to. We never say you am going to, we always say you are going to. We can't say it am going to or he are going to. We have to say it is going to and he is going to. Okay. So we know that there are a few differences between will and going to in terms of form. Will stays the same for all personal pronouns, all subjects. Will is very simple to use because we don't have to worry about changing anything. We don't have to worry about checking that our conjugation is correct. No, will is will, and that makes it simple to use. Okay, going to is not difficult. With the verb to be, there are only 3 forms. So it's not very difficult. It's not like fighting Michael Dudikoff, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris all at the same time, is it? No, we are gods of English and we can handle 3 forms of a verb. Okay. So we know that will is slightly easier to handle because we don't change will, but we can't use will all the time. There are differences in the form of will and going to, but there are also differences in when we use will and when we use going to. Firstly, if we can't control something, we use will. We don't use going to in situations where there is no control. If I want it to happen, or even if I don't want it to happen, I will be older by 1 year this year, unless I die. I have no control over this. It happens automatically. Nothing can stop it. In the same way, the sun will rise tomorrow. This is a fact. We cannot control it. We know it will happen, so we use will, not going to. If we decided something at the time of speaking, not before, then we use will, not going to. Look at the difference between these two sentences. Now, when we look at the two sentences, we notice that in the first sentence, the person who is speaking made the decision to go to bed when they spoke. The decision was made at the time of speaking. This is a spontaneous decision. The person decided to go to bed when they spoke. For situations like this, we use will. Now, look at the second sentence. The decision to go on holiday was made in the past. This is a plan for the future, something that she decided about in the past. She decided this in the past, so she uses the going to form. Think about when you're sitting in a restaurant. The waiter comes and asks if you're ready to order. If you say to the waiter, "Yes, I'll have the steak and chips, please," then this means that you made your decision at the time of speaking, just then. When you came into the restaurant, you didn't know what you wanted. You sat down, looked at the menu, and decided then. It's a spontaneous decision. Okay, now imagine the situation when the waiter comes and asks if you're ready to order, and this time you say, "Yes, I'm going to have the steak and chips." What's the difference? That's right. This means that you decided earlier. This means that you sat in your office all day thinking about what you were going to eat in the restaurant. You decided earlier, so you use going to. Now, if we can see that something is sure to happen, we use going to. This means we can see it coming. We have evidence, proof that something is sure to happen. If we're sitting in a car heading towards a tree at 186 kilometers per hour, we can see that something is sure to happen. We can see what is going to happen, and so we say, "We're going to crash." If we look up into the sky and see black clouds all over the sky, we know that black clouds equals rain, and so we say, "It's going to rain." We know that we have to be at school by 8 o'clock. We also know that it takes 20 minutes for us to travel from home to school. The time is now 7:45, so we can say we're going to be late. So, if the decision was made before I spoke, I use going to. Now, look at this photo and think about what the pilots are saying. Logically, realistically, I think one pilot is saying to the other one, "Bob, we're going to crash." The other pilot is probably saying, "Mike, we're going to die." Okay, so they can see evidence of what is going to happen. They're sure that something is going to happen, so they use going to. Now, let's think of an example in sport. Imagine you're playing tennis against Roger Federer in a Grand Slam match. Now, before the match started, we asked people their opinions. When people gave their opinions, when people predicted the result, when they made predictions, they used will and going to. When we're making a prediction about the future, we can use both will and going to. In the press conference before the match, a journalist asked you for your opinion. The journalist said, "Do you think you'll win the match?" And you said, "Yes, I'm going to win the match." Fine. Then, at Roger's press conference, a different journalist asked Roger to predict the result of the match, and he said, "I'll win." Then we checked the odds that the bookmakers were offering. Unfortunately, all of the bookmakers offered 300,000 to 1 against you. The score at the end of the first set was 6-love to Federer. The score at the end of the second set was 6-love to Federer. And now, in the third and final set, the score is 5-love to Federer, and in the final game of the set, he's leading 40-love. He's got 3 match points, and he's serving. Now, what are you thinking? That's right. You can be sure of the result of the tennis match. There is absolutely no way that you can win. There is no way, apart from a nuclear attack by North Korea, perhaps, that you can win and Roger can lose. So, I'll ask you again, what are you thinking? That's right. You're thinking, Roger Federer is going to win the match. I'm going to lose the match. That's right. And you use going to because you can see what the result will be. Correct. Now, what is Roger thinking? Roger too is aware of the situation and the score. He knows that he won the first set 6-love. He is aware that he won the second set 6-love. He realizes that he's leading 5-love in the third and final set of this Grand Slam tennis match. He understands that it's 99.999% impossible for him to lose and you to win. All he has to do is win 1 more point and he's serving. He's serving for the match with 3 match points. So, what do you think Roger is thinking? Yes, that's right. Just like you, he's thinking, I'm going to win the match. My opponent is going to lose the match. And Roger can see what the result will be, so he's using going to as well. In fact, what is everybody thinking? Yes, that's right. You, Roger, and everybody who's watching is thinking Roger's going to win. Roger's opponent is going to lose. And what form are we using to talk about the outcome? The result that we know is coming? That's right. Just like the 2 pilots, just like when we can see the black clouds in the sky, just like when we realize that there isn't enough time to brake before we hit the tree, we use going to. And now, I'm going to hand you over to Enid. I decided this earlier. It's not a spontaneous decision, and I used going to. Enid, come on down. The stage is all yours. Hello, people. Hello, hello. How are you all today? Now, do you remember I told you about Keith's vet? You do? Oh, good. Well, I also told you that the vet is always in the red and charges for everything to try and make some money. Well, I decided that I'm going to help the vet. A few of us, me, Clementina, Rupert and Archibald, think that it's important to have a vet in the neighborhood, mainly for Keith. So we're going to invest in the vet's business to help him financially. Do you know the verb to invest? To invest is to put money into a business to help and perhaps make some more money. Now, I'm always in the black, so making money isn't my goal. But I'm going to help the vet so that the vet stays in the neighborhood. That way, I'll know where to take Keith if he catches a cold. Oh, and is that the time? Good gracious, I'll have to run. I promised to play catch with Keith in the park. He's there now with Archibald. I'll speak to you all later. Toodaloo, hip hip, chitty bye. And she's gone. Oh well, that's good news about the vet. It's nice to see that Enid and her friends are going to help. Okay, people, it's time for us to call it a day. We're out of time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, you can find all of our lessons and more, much more, at m5tv.hu. Okay, I'll see you later. Have fun. Bye.